All right. So what we're going to cover is these three items. The documents. Documents are going to be loaded into the opportunity, which is your single point of reference for your deals. Step 2 is compliance. These are the required documents that are submitted to compliance coordinator for the review and approval. On the buyer side, it looks like there's 3 chances for submission to compliance, and on the listing side there's 3. And we're going to go over all of those once we get into the command screens. Excuse me. Number 3 is the commissions tab. This is going to be completed to communicate your closing and commission details to the market centers so that you can get paid. And this will be the replacement for green sheets. All right. So the path to get paid, there's 6 steps. You're going to enter in a contact or a lead into command, and then you cultivate it through your process, whatever that is. Once you get to step 2, the lead decides to sell or buy a home, and then you create the opportunity for them. When you create the opportunity, you're also going to be creating either the loop or the DocuSign room, whichever software you're using. Step 3, submit an offer and negotiate to come to an agreement on the property. That's on the buyer and the seller side. If you do have the buyer and seller, if you have both sides of the deal, there will be 2 opportunities, 2 sets of paperwork. That's just the way they're doing it right now. Step 4 is once you have all the necessary contracts, disclosures, and documents signed, you upload those to the opportunity, and that's when you're going to submit them to compliance. And then they'll either respond that things need changed, or they'll respond that you're good, and then you move to the next step, which is submitting. You actually have to enter in an offer. There's actually a step in between here. You have to enter in an offer, whatever the offer is. And once you enter that in and it's accepted, then it moves to step 6, where you're able to click on the commissions tab, and then that's when you put in your commission details. All right. So I'm going to switch screens here, maybe. Okay. Now, so I'm going to assume for this class that everybody knows how to enter in a contact, everybody knows how to enter in an opportunity. I've already created the opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here to opportunities and click on that. And it's going to bring up your dashboard, and it shows your pipelines. You have your listings, your buyers, and your leases, and then it has the numbers along what you have in each stage. Okay, so we're going to go into active. So this is the opportunity homepage. Most of this has already been filled in. There's a couple of things in here you'll want to make sure you have. You want to enter in the property address once you have that. If this is a listing, it'd be the listing address. Obviously, if it's a buyer, you might have to enter it in later. So we'll go ahead and put that in now. Okay. And then down here, you have the estimated listing price, commission rate, and the commission. These are going to be, when you do the commissions tab, so when you go to fill out your commissions tab, these numbers will move over. Actually, the commission rate is what moves over from here. When we get to the offer, that's where they'll take the listing price that'll determine your commission rate.
Hey, Aaron,
Yes.
on the commission, that's only your side, right? So
Correct.
it's only the 3, okay.
Yep. Yeah, so and like if you have both sides, you'd have one opportunity for listing at 3%, then you'd have the buyer opportunity at 3%. So yeah, you have to submit it both ways, or on both sides. Yep. Okay. All right. So we'll move into documents. So this is going to be moving into the compliance section here. So right now, it's a new opportunity. Nothing's been created in here. This assumes that there is no loop that's already been created or room, DocuSign room. So you come in here. The first thing you're going to do is you click on Start a Transaction. You choose whichever system you're using. Most people are using .loop right now. You've got .loop here. You can do a listing loop or a purchase loop. This is going to create it on the .loop side. So if I choose listing loop and I hit choose template, it's logging into .loop right now, and it's creating the loop with the listing paperwork with this loop name. So it's the same as your opportunity name. Yes.
When I did my first .loop on a listing,
Mhm.
I think it was, I ended up having 2 loops, but then when I go back to opportunities, the loop that I end up deleting is the one that was tied to command, and the one that actually have all their forms already filled out and signed. And you had asked me to change the name of that loop. That one is not connected to, how do I connect the one I have on dot loop to command? If I had 2 and deleted, I thought I was deleting the right one and I deleted the wrong one.
Yeah,
That's
you can't connect. I can't come into this screen and connect to a specific loop in .loop. That's why we make sure we want to make sure that we're creating it here, and then it creates the same thing in .loop. I can't go out and I can't tell it to connect to a different loop in .loop. Does that
so.
make sense?
Do I need to go back to create a transaction and do dot loop and then download the forms that are on that unconnected dot loop
Yeah, you'd
and
have
then
to.
put it in that one?
Well, so is your command is connected to a loop right now? There's just
Well,
nothing in it.
the command shows 2 loops that is connected to dot loop because it was my first time doing it when
Mhm.
I did it. And then and I archived them on dot loop and then had one that they had already filled out their information. But then when I go back to opportunities, it still shows those 2 that had been archived on dot loop.
It shows the opportunities that have been archived. Is that what you mean? What's been archived?
The dot loop, the loop that was to go to transactions, pull down and create the dot loop. In this case,
Okay, so those are the opportunities that have been. You can't. We can't archive individual in command. You can't archive an individual loop.
no, this
You
was
have to.
archived in dot loop, but then it comes back and it shows that
Okay,
they're
so you
there.
archived it in .loop. Okay, you would have to if command is connected to one of the loops that doesn't have the documents that you want, you're going to have to move the documents you want into that loop in .loop.
Okay,
Yep. Okay.
thank you.
hmm Um, so once you connect to .loop and it's created this loop over there. It's added the template to the .loop. You're going to see 2 buttons here: sync transaction and go to transaction. You're not really going to use the sync transaction. We've learned that sometimes that overwrites things that have been done in .loop, so we don't really use it a whole lot. If you can open .loop directly from here. So if I go to transaction, it opens up a new window and lets me log into .loop and takes me straight into that loop, so I can do things in there. Okay. So right now, we don't show anything in this window where we're going to put our documents. So it says on here, you have to choose a checklist. So over here, you have pick checklist type. So in command, they give you checklists or placeholders for documents that you should have for the deals. If it's a listing, there's certain ones required. If it's buyer, there's certain one required. And it tells you. So then you see which ones they are, and then you pull them from .loop as you need them. So if we go in here and we say that this is residential, it creates a new checklist right here where it says listed. This is the name of the checklist. Okay, so right now there's a listed. Okay, I just got logged out. Okay, so we'll try again here. Okay, so under listing, you have 3 folders over here. You have a listed, under contract, and closed. And each one of these has a different set of documents in it. So the listed has, it shows you required documents for when you sign the listing. Under contract are required documents for when you get an offer. So like the purchase contract, the lead-based paint signed if it's before 78, agencies close, those kind of things. And then the closed folder has the ALTA statement in it that you'll upload. As you complete the documents in each one of these, you're going to submit them to compliance. So once I have all my listing paperwork signed and loaded in here, I'd submit that to the compliance. Under contract, same thing, and close is the same thing. On the buyer side, there's three. The first one, instead of saying listing, it says consultation. And the only thing that's out there is the consumer guide. And then there's under contract and closed. And you do the same thing. Once you upload the documents, you submit it for compliance. Okay. So the documents are listed here. This is the checklist. So the first one here is the consumer guide, and you can see underneath it tells you if it's required, if it's optional, or if it's conditionally required. In this case, if it was built before 78, you would have to do the lead-based paint. Okay. All right. So then to upload, so let's say that I've done all the paperwork for the listing. I want to go grab it from .loop now. So I go over here and add file. I'm either going to manually upload it from my computer, I'm going to pull it from .loop, or I'm going to pull it from a custom folder on .loop. So if I choose .loop, it's going to show me the documents here that are in this loop in .loop. So these are the documents. So we're going to assume that all these documents have been signed and they're ready to go. So the first one here is the consumer guide to agency. So I select it, click assign. It's thinking over here. Now it's uploaded it. So you can see here it's changed from not uploaded to uploaded. And it shows you, it has the name of the file here. So if I click on this, it's going to show me the document. I can make sure that, yep, it's signed. This is the right one. In this viewer, you can go through the pages up here. If you just type in a page number, it'll take you to that page. You can zoom in on the document. You can also search the document in here. So if you just type in your search criteria in here, it'll find it on the document. So here, you can print the document from here. You can download it to your computer, and then the X is the exit out of the viewer. Okay. So we can see that this document's been uploaded. Once it's uploaded, you have some options out here. You can remove it or you can print it straight from here. You decide this isn't the right one, you can remove it and then upload another one. If you have more than one document in .loop that you want to move into command, you can do multiple files at a time instead of having to click each one and do it. You can do this link here where it says attach multiple files. We can see that the first one up here is already done, so it won't let me do anything with that. But if I go in here and if I click here, actually, let's do it this way. .loop. There we go. Okay, so across the top, if you choose .loop, it gives you the drop-down boxes here, so I can just come in here and I can choose the document as I go. So okay, that's this one, and then so I've chose 2 here. If I hit attach down here at the bottom, it's going to upload both of them at the same time. So it's an easy way to move bulk documents into command. So, you know, you've created the opportunity here and you've connected it to .loop. That loop's out there, and you go out there and start uploading your documents and sending them out for signatures and all that. Then you can come back in here and do it all at once. You don't have to come in here and do it one at a time. You know, oh, I got the consumer guide, I can put it in command, or I've got the listing contract. You can just do them all at once. Okay, so from this screen, once you start adding documents to any of these folders, it's going to show a status out here and it says open. When I've got all my documents in here and I submit it to the Market Center or compliance, it's going to say submitted out here. Once Chris reviews it and if everything looks good, then it comes back and it's accepted. Then it'll show accepted out here, so you know that you're good to go. If it says rejected, that means there's something that has to be corrected. If you if you come in here, so let's go to the under contract. So we're in the under contract folder. Let's say that listed that's done, it's approved, everything's good to go. Now we're just waiting, having showings, those kind of things, and an offer comes in, and we've accepted the offer. We would come into the contract tab. We do the same thing. All the documents are out in .loop. We can start uploading documents here, and I'll go ahead and add one for now. Okay. So again, that you can use them attach multiple files at the same time. You can add a new item. If there's something listed in here that you use that isn't listed, you can do an add item. You just give it a document name, tell it what kind of document it is, and then tell it where to get it from. So it'd be .loop, and then you could pull it in that way. The other thing in here is, so let's say this contract was accepted. We went through, inspections and all that. We got to the appraisal, or we got to something that killed the deal. But we have all this paperwork in here. Obviously, this deal isn't going to go through, but now what do we do with these documents? So up here where I showed earlier, where it says under contract is the name of this checklist, we can come in here and we can create another one. So let's say, all this paperwork, we don't want to delete it. We might need it later, or, for something or whatever. And we can just come in here. We can do add new version, or add version right here. You click add version. It asks you for a name. It defaults to the folder name and whatever version, it is. So this is version 2. Okay. So this would be like our second offer. If we got a second offer, we could come in and do it this way. Do create new version. So now up here it says under contract version 2, and the checklist is clear. There's no file here. So if I go back to version 1, there's the old purchase contract. And under version 2, we're just back to showing and waiting for an offer to come in. So we have 2 sets of documents in here. Okay. Once once you have all the documents in here, you submit it to the MC, and the same thing will happen. It'll show open over here. It'll show accepted or rejected, or pending, submitted, whatever stage it's in with Chris. Okay. You can create custom folders if you want. If you have documents that you use, maybe for a team or something like that you want to use, you can put those under a custom folder. Those don't necessarily have to go to compliance. You can put them down there, or you can add them into your regular checklist. Okay. All right. So once we have documents, once you have everything loaded, you can come in here, and at the top of each column, you can sort. So if we want to see all the ones that are uploaded, we just click this little arrow here, and it shows us the uploaded ones at the top. If I click it again, it's going to do it in reverse order, and it's going to show all the ones that aren't uploaded. I can come in and do the document name, sort, same thing. I can do a type, and I can do file. If I click on file, it's going to bring the ones that have a file there. It's going to bring those to the top, and it's going to alphabetize them. So it's an easy way to see what you still need to do, or what's missing. Okay. All right. So once we have under contract, so the listed will say approved, under contracts approved. We have an offer. We're going to go over here to the next tab, which is the offers tab. It's going to be blank to begin with. You're going to click add new offer. And once this comes up, the first thing it's going to ask you is the offer. You need to give it a name. It defaults to initial offer, and you create offer. So what this is we're putting an offer into the system, an accepted offer into the system that will then be used once we get to the commissions tab. Okay, so some people come in here and they'll put the offer in, and then you can show the negotiations in here too, if you want, or you can just put the final offer in here, whatever that is. It just depends on your process and how you want to do it. So there's 4 screens under offer. You have the name, the offer date, which is today, the close date. Okay, and then you click parties, which is the next tab. It's going to bring in the parties to both the buyer and seller side. So the seller side, because this is a listing opportunity, the seller side's already going to be filled in with the seller information here from your contact card and your information from your settings. Okay. On the buyer side, the only things that are required is the buyer name and the buyer's agent name. Okay. You can come in here and add the other information if you want, but the only 2 things that are required are the names. Okay. The next tab is terms. Up here is where it's going to, whatever we put in these boxes and ends up as the sales price, that's what it's going to transfer over to your commissions tab, is what takes from this box. So these are the terms of the deal. If they're putting 5,000 down, and that's not right. So it's 260,000, they're putting 5,000 down. This is automatically calculated for you. You just fill in these 2 boxes. Earnest money is the next one. You can do a percentage or you can do a flat amount. Option fees, if those are in the contracts. Termination fee, if that's in the termination option, if that's in the contract. And then at the bottom, you have seller costs. So the first one is for the residential service contracts. So if you're doing a home warranty, that kind of thing that the seller is paying for, you'd put that here. All other seller paid closing costs would go on the last line here. So let's say they're given $2,500 for seller paid closing costs, and they're also gonna, that would include the $300 for title policy. Or if they're paying for all the title policy, you'd put all of that in there.
What would be an example of an option fee?
I don't know because we don't have those in our contracts, as far as I know.
Okay.
So this information isn't really going to be used for anything. The only thing you're putting an offer in is so that you can get to the commissions tab. So if you don't fill this in, it's not going to really do anything to your deal, I guess. It creates a summary at the end that you can send to your sellers if you want to do it that way. And I'll show that. So if we go here, so the last step is where you can come in here and you can put in the pros and cons of the offer, and you can put a summary in. And then when I hit save, it's going to show it here. And one of the options over here is, once I've entered this in, I can enter in a negotiation, or I can send this offer to my seller for them to review it. If you want to do it through the system. Again, everybody's process is different. Some people will do it through the system. Some people will call them. Some people will go over and present it, that kind of thing. So it's just what your process is. And you can come in here if this is the initial offer and they counter with something. You can come in here and do add negotiation. You give it a name and you enter in the negotiation terms, and it'll show it along the bottom here. Okay. So if I'm just putting in the offers when they're final, and this is the final offer, I can hit accept. And right now you can see this commissions tab is grayed out. If I hit accept, now I have access to the commissions tab. So when I click on that, and it loads, the first thing it's going to do is show you any errors. So I didn't fill out contract date on the opportunity, so it didn't pull that date in. So it's telling me that I can't do anything unless I put in a contract date. So if I come in here and I put in the 28th, which is today, then that error goes away and it updates the sheet. Okay. So it took the sales price from the offer. It took the 3% from the opportunities home screen. And then it calculates the commission for you. And this whole deal is 1 unit because it's the listing side, and then your contract date and your close date. Okay. This is the top line numbers that it uses to calculate over on the right-hand side. Okay. So under that is going to be the agent breakdown. So if you're the only agent, there's only going to be 1 agent here. If there's more than 1 agent, if you have a co-listing agent, you would add them at the bottom. So right now, because this commission amount equals this commission amount, it's telling me at the bottom that I can't add another agent right now. If I come in here and I change mine, I change this so it's less, it's going to update. Okay. And it's telling me that the total agent commission doesn't equal the total for the deal. So there's $400 missing here is what it's telling me. So you go down to the bottom, and now there's this add agent button, and you can click add agent, and you can enter in another agent's information. So a co-listing agent, and you would put in, and then their commission amount plus this commission amount needs to equal this one to remove this error message.
Aaron, if
Yep.
we would happen to be paying for a home warranty or something like that, where does something like that go in?
When you say we're paying it, do you mean as the agent or as the seller?
And sometimes in order to keep a deal together, we pay a portion of the home warranty or something like that. Where do we put something like that into this information?
So you're getting the commission check from the title company in it, and then you're taking part of that money and putting it towards the service contract?
So that would that be another, because my check, it would not be $7,800, it would probably be $7,400.
So down down here under deductions, there's an add item button down here. If you have
Okay.
something like that, and I think, let me see here. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that here in a second. Actually, when I get down to that part, we'll
Okay.
actually talk about that. Yep. So this is there's only one agent on the listing side, so it's going to be here. It's going to show you your breakdown. I've been told that these numbers are accurate as far as the information when it connects to it's using Winmore, and it's supposed to be pulling in accurate information as far as I know.
Mine was accurate on my last closing this
Was it?
time.
Okay, good.
Yes. Yes.
Phew.
It caught
Yeah.
up.
Now I will say that if you come in here, and I've talked to Debbie about this, if you come in here and you see that your actual isn't correct, or this isn't correct, she double checks everything before she pays out or before she does the commission checks. She's going to go into Winmore and she's going to verify everything before it goes out. So she's not just going to look at this and say, okay, well, that's what it is, and we're going with it. She's going to double check in Winmore before she does anything. So there's that extra check there for those things. So the first one's the royalty, then you have the company commission, and then we get down to the deductions. So there's some preset ones in here. You can put E&O in here. You can do KW Cares, KW Kids Can, and Bold Scholarship donations. So if you have something else to add in here, so if you have a referral, an inside referral, an outside referral, if you're doing a deduction, which it's something that maybe you incurred that you have to pay, like a home warranty. If you get a bonus, like a credit from a home builder that's on top of your commission, or if you have any concessions. Let's see here. So we're going to click Add Item, and it's going to ask you what is it. So there's bonus, concession, deduction, inside and outside referral. So and I have my sheet here I'm reading from that I got from Debbie. So an outside referral is pretty self-explanatory. It's a referral fee that you send to another broker for a lead. So that would be the last one down here. And when you click on this, it gives you the fields for the information that it needs to do this referral. So you put in the referral percentage, the amount, their ID. Usually if it's like we use like OpCity or something like that, if it's a company, it's going to give you they'll give you their EIN number with their tax ID, the name, agent name, and address and phone number. And then you'll hit add, and it'll add that to the commission sheet. Inside referral is defined as a portion of the commission that is sent to an agent inside your MC. An example is, as an agent, I'd like to send a referral fee to an agent inside my market center. Then I would come in here and do inside referral. You put in the amount that you're sending them as the referral fee, and then you just type in their name. And then they have to be somebody within your market center. Okay. All right, and then a deduction is defined as a payment for an expense incurred by the agent paid from the agent's net commission by the market center. Example, as an agent, I contract with a transaction coordinator for $200 for closing. The MC deducts the $200 from my commission and cuts a check directly to the transaction coordinator. Okay, so I'd come in here and you put the amount. Tax ID isn't required, the description of what it is. So if it's a compliance fee or it's a transaction coordinator fee, you put in here who you're sending it to. This doesn't have to be, it doesn't give you names if you start typing. You just type in their name and their address and the phone number. Okay, and then that'll show on your sheet. So if I come in here, let's do a sample. Actually, let's do the rest of them first. All right. So you have, let's see, bonus. A bonus is defined as an additional fixed amount added to your standard commission amount, normally to incentivize offers in a specified time frame. An example would be a home builder might pay 2% or 3% commission. However, when you close, when they start to sell out the division, they might offer an extra incentive to close deals. So they might offer an extra $1,000 or $1,500, and you would list that in here. So if the bonus was $1,500, you type in 1,500 and hit add. Okay.
Aaron, is this a list that you can share with everyone?
Yes, I will be. Yep.
Okay,
I just
thank
got
you.
this last week from, yep. And then we have concession is the last one. A concession is an amount of the commission generally owed to the agent but waived in order to get the deal to close. So an example is an agent could waive a portion of the commission to cover a home warranty to alleviate buyer fees from the results of an inspection. It's a tracking mechanism and not everyone uses it. Not sure what that last part means, but so this would be a concession. So your concession would be, like you said, actually, I don't know if the home warranty, I thought the home warranty would go under deduction. So we'll have to check. I'll check with Debbie on that. I know she said that if it's just part of the regular deal, then it goes under the settlement statement or the settlement costs on the previous screen. But if you're paying a part of it out of your pocket, according to this, it's going to be a concession. But I'm not sure I understand the last part of that sentence there. So if you're paying, $695 or whatever, a portion of the home warranty, it's going to ask you if it's on the closing statement. It's either yes or no. Does it come off the top of your commission? Yes or no. And then is the market center paying? If I do off the top, then you have this option here. So I'm guessing if you do a concession and this is the amount and you tell it off the top is meaning that the market center is going to pay it to them. Is that how you want that to work, Chris? I mean, does the market center cut them a check or do you cut the check?
Usually the title company does. It's like we will reduce our side of the commission
I see what you're saying.
and give the invoice to the title company, and then they just pay
Okay.
it.
Okay, then that's why it's asking if it's on the closing statement then, because then it's
Oh, okay.
included. The check that you got, you're going to get, there's going to be two checks. The check that you get is going to be your commission minus whatever you gave up or conceded for the home warranty, correct?
Right. So say
Right.
that the 7,800 would have been the original commission, then a home warranty is coming off of our side. So say then we're getting 7,400.
Okay.
So that's not okay. I see where that 695. Okay, so that's where that
So
would.
it took the 695 right here. Yep. And then
Okay.
There's royalty, and then it says the check to the agent would be 45.47, and the office would get 2,500. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So once you've entered in all of your information, so let's go in and let's do an outside referral. So let's say it's 25%. Okay. So what it does is over here, it does a summary. So it shows you the items that you're entering in. So here's the outside referral listed here. And here's the concession for 695 here. And then over here, it shows you the status of this commission sheet is open, meaning I haven't submitted it yet. You have your total commission, the concessions here, outside referrals here, royalty, currency, and then the amount that gets paid to the agents here, and then the office information is here. Once we have all this correct, and it's how you want it, when you click submit, it's going to send this to Debbie, and she'll review it. It'll say up here, it'll change to submitted, and then once she approves it, you'll get it back and it'll say approved. You'll also get notifications at the top of the screen where the little bell is that'll tell you anytime compliance looks at something or Debbie looks at something, if it's in command and they accept it or if it's rejected or whatever, it'll give you a notification up here. There'll be a little red dot on here that'll show you, and it'll say in here, commission sheet for your Cambron listing was accepted or it was rejected, and then you click on it and it takes you to the completed document. Excuse me. Okay. So are there any questions around the commissions sheet? Okay, so we have a question. where do we put an admin fee? So is this, you pay the admin fee per deal? Is that correct? Okay. All right. So what you can do is, that's going to be down here, and you can do, if you do deduction, you come in here and you type in the amount. So let's say that it's $295. In this case, if your seller's paying it, it's going to be included. So like you're probably doing like the 3% plus a $295 fee. I don't know, you're probably calling it compliance fee or something like that. You could come in here, okay, and you put in the amount. You put in the description. Let's say we're calling a compliance fee. You can come in here and you can type in the person's name, so it'd be your admin's name, and then your address. Oops. Which is probably going to be the office address. And then their phone number can go in here. You can put their email in here if you want, but this is who the check's going to be cut to, is the pay to. And then you hit add. It's going to update the summary over here. And I am going to check with Debbie on concession versus deduction to see how she wants those listed also, and what constitutes a concession versus a deduction. And to Chris's question, I will be putting together the document that kind of defines what each one is. All right, so now you have over here your, let's see here, should be listed, where to put it, deduction, here it is. Okay, so your deduction is down here. It shows up under here. So the compliance fee, the $295 is right here, and it's going to be included in the total deductions over here. So right here. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?